Hi, I'm Debbie with Studio MDAZ, and today I'm going to show you how to decoupage a gorgeous blue and white toile napkin on a paper mache pumpkin. I've given it one base coat of a white, just so that when the napkin is decoupaged on, it is showing much better. If you use a piece of blue painter's tape, you will see that it helps get all the plies off of your napkin. So simple, and it's critical that you take all of the plies off. I'm going to use some Mod Podge, and I'm using a gloss, but it doesn't matter. You can use any type of finish on your Mod Podge. My biggest tip for you in decoupaging is rip instead of cut your pieces, and have your pieces done in smaller sections. You want to do a little bit at a time. This is what keeps you from having all those wrinkles. So tear it and then place it on your pumpkin after you have applied a little bit more Mod Podge, not only on the new area, but you're going to go back over a little bit the previous section to make sure everything is adhering. And you're going to want a very, very soft paintbrush to do this, because a stiff paintbrush will tear the napkin. So you need to be really, really careful with this. And I'm pressing down as I go, but very gently. And as you can see, it's very repetitive. It's just the same thing over and over. But this is a 6-inch pumpkin, and so it went really fast. I can also tell you that this particular one came with a little top cutout, and so it was perfect for me to get my hand in there to hold it while I was working. But you could also use the decoupage or the paper mache pumpkins that have the stem and just hold on to the stem the whole time. And then at the end, you could cut the stem off and put in a doorknob or something like that. So, and also it's very sticky. It's going to stick to your fingers. So you've got to be really careful to not touch the areas that you've already just done the decoupage napkin on, because your fingers will stick to it and rip the napkin. So you're just going to continue this same method all the way around. Okay, so we are just about finished with our pumpkin, the decoupage part, and now we're going to basically start filling in. That stinking paper is so sticky, so we're going to fill in all the places that we might have missed before. And I'm also going to do the bottom of the pumpkin, because I think it's critical that your project is complete all the way around, and no matter where somebody's looking, it looks professional and done, especially if you're selling your crafts. You want your customer to look at it and just be blown away that you have thought through every detail on your project. And I can just tell you, having that opening in the pumpkin was so convenient to keep me from touching all of the sides of that pumpkin where you run the risk of it tearing right off. Any extras, I'm just cutting off. And then I will use the decoupage to go up and under. So here's where we're going to finish, adding everything to the pumpkin, all on the bottom and the sides for fill-in. You can see that we are almost done with the whole pumpkin, and we've got all of our areas filled in. We've just got a couple of small pieces I need to set in, and you can see you can just use tiny little pieces, so you're not going to throw anything away till you're all done. So the next thing I need to do is, well, obviously we got to get all those little pieces picked up because they are so sticky. And we're going to set our pumpkin, and we're going to put that on a plastic plate. That way I don't run the risk of the construction paper that's on my desk of getting stuck onto it. All right, so now I've got my small lid that came with the pumpkin, and I'm going to give it one base coat of white. And I'm also going to do a checkerboard pattern on the top of that lid, just for something different. So all I'm using is a white and a navy blue acrylic paints. And I'm going to take a 1/2-inch ruler, which is called a quilter's wand, but you can use anything, a craft stick, anything would work. And I'm going to do horizontal and vertical lines on my lid to make a checkerboard pattern. And that is the main thing I teach. So I'm also using a Zen Level 2 number 4 acrylic paintbrush. And I'm double loading my brush. I'm dipping in the navy blue first, and then I'm flipping my brush all the way over, dipping into the white, and then going right to one of those squares and filling it all in with that paint. And this goes really fast. But if you're not familiar with Studio MDAZ, I have a website, which is studiomdaz.com, and I have a number of like 50 free and paid for tutorials on just about everything you can imagine, including the navy and white, black and white, the tan and white, all different colors, all different types of projects. You can find there and also on our Facebook pages, Studio MDAZ and Czech Savvy Sisters. And we also have a new membership called Czech Savvy Sisterhood. Now, when I held up the lid to the pumpkin, I realized that the color was off a little bit. And so I needed to look and see what color was it missing. And it was missing a purpley tone. So all I did was add a little bit of dioxazine purple to the navy to give it the perfect color. And that worked beautifully. Still mixing it in with a little bit of white, but your eye can see instantly when something's not right. And the little tiny bit of purple that I added to everything made a huge difference. And then once I get done with all of that, I'm going to add just white to my brush and do a little bit of a white drag or a white line in the middle of every check. And what that does, it just gives it a little bit more depth and interest. And when I do that, I'm going to switch out to a shader brush. And a shader brush has longer hairs. And it's just a small little shader brush. It's probably a number 6. And in this case, it doesn't really matter which brush you're using, but it's just one dry brush. I put my paintbrush in the white paint, and then I wipe it all back off on my paper towel and just do one little line on each check. Let's get it onto my pumpkin, and I love it that it's got 2 different patterns. I love multiple patterns on anything, and everything is dry. Still got that paper all over me. I find it when I'm done, I find it all over. I find it usually on my clothes, and usually it's on my sleeves and on my chair. So it is very sticky, but it's not a big deal. I'm just finishing the lid in some white base coat so that if and when you take it off of the pumpkin, everything looks nice all the way around. But in the end, I went ahead and painted that whole base of the lid in a metallic gold, a beautiful gold leaf paint, because I needed it to just kind of step it up a notch. Now I'm going to seal it with a high gloss sealer, and this is called Triple Thick. I buy it at any craft store or online, and I'm using the softest brush I can find because I need to apply a sealer over the whole pumpkin because I want the pumpkin to be super glossy. And it also is giving me one more level of protection on all of that paper, the paper napkin, so that nothing would happen to it. And even though we already have the Mod Podge, you wouldn't have to do this to seal over it, but I needed to do this so that the next step that we're going to do works. And the next thing we're going to do is my most favorite thing, something that I love so much. It's called Diamond Dust, and I buy it at Amazon, and it is by Flora Craft, Floracraft, Flora Craft, Diamond Dust. It's basically crushed glass that is very shiny, very sparkly, very glittery, but without the horribleness of glitter. I hate glitter, but if you can see, it's just got this gorgeous sheen to it. So we've covered that whole thing in diamond dust. We're going to go ahead and seal the lid. Same thing with the triple thick. I'm not going to diamond dust the lid. I'm just sealing it. I'm going to go ahead and add the doorknob now. Looks good. I'm going to hit it with some glue, hot glue, in the hole. And I'm going to go ahead and set the doorknob in there and hold it just for a second to make sure it is adhering. I'm going to pop that little top back in the pumpkin where it goes. And you now have the most adorable blue and white toile, glittery, sparkly pumpkin, unique, that you could also leave out year round.